Nancy wants to come over on our next day off to discuss this, so I need your support. I was stunned. So you want to marry my sister? I asked incredulously. With a troubled expression, Larry replied, I don't necessarily want to marry her, but if she's having my baby, I feel like I have no choice. His typical indecisiveness frustrated me, and I responded, well, if she's carrying your child, we'll have to deal with it. Let's discuss this when she comes over. It seemed like Larry and I couldn't make decisions together, so I decided to talk directly with my sister to sort things out. Despite already deciding on divorce, I felt the need to consult my father-in-law about the company's situation. Being the daughter-in-law of the founder, I was deeply involved in running the business, but divorce would mean losing that connection. The next day, I visited my in-law's house and told my father-in-law everything Larry had said. My mother-in-law, delighted at the news of her son having a child, fell silent under my father-in-law's stern gaze. It seemed she cared more about her grandchild than the company's management. After pondering for a while, my father-in-law smiled and said, Lisa, I want you to continue managing the company as you have been. Larry can do as he pleases, I'll handle the rest. It was clear that my father-in-law valued the company's management over his son or grandchild. Even though he was retired, as the founder, his influence was significant, holding most of the company's shares, ensuring no executive could oppose him. I was becoming more invested in my work and reluctant to step away from it. With my work situation settled, it was time to talk about the future with my sister. On my day off, she came over with a big smile and said, Lisa, it's a shame you couldn't have a baby. I'll give you a good amount of money for consolation. Please leave this house right away. She spoke with a hint of triumph. My husband sat silently through our conversation, despite being the cause of the issue. I was shocked by his indifferent demeanor and replied, divorce is fine, but we also need to discuss alimony and property division with a lawyer to settle things properly. Turning to my sister, I added sarcastically, I never imagined you'd fall for someone like Larry. She glared at me briefly, but quickly composed herself. I've come to realize that it's not about looks with men, it's about what's inside, she said. It struck me as amusing to hear her speak so confidently about understanding my husband's true nature. Holding back my amusement, I said, that's wonderful. I hope you'll be happy together from now on. The inner self my sister referred to might have been money. She seemed to believe my husband was the president of my father-in-law's company, though she clearly hadn't heard it from him directly. After our discussion, my sister announced she would move in and had a moving company ready. Anticipating her quick decisions, I had already arranged for a new apartment and only took essentials with me. I hired a lawyer to prepare documents for property division and alimony. The next day, after moving my belongings, negotiations began with my husband and sister, led by my lawyer. My husband remained silent with an indifferent expression, while my sister did all the talking. As I mentioned earlier, I'm willing to pay whatever alimony you decide on. Please take your time to decide, my sister declared. Upon hearing this, my lawyer decided to pursue alimony from both my husband and sister. Knowing my sister was already making alimony payments to her ex-husband, the lawyer had warned it might be challenging to claim more from her. However, since she offered to pay whatever I wanted, we proceeded with the claim. When discussing the division of property, my sister confidently stated, this mansion originally belongs to Larry's family, so it shouldn't be included in the property division, right? The lawyer calmly replied, this building and the land are owned by the company, so that decision rests with the company. To my surprise, even my husband seemed to believe the house belonged to his father. Oh, really? I thought this house was Dad's, he remarked casually. This revelation caught my sister off guard, prompting her to challenge the lawyer. Wait, so does that mean I can't live in this house? My sister asked. The lawyer replied in a matter-of-fact tone, since it's owned by the company, you can stay if the company allows it. Relieved, my sister responded, oh, you should have said that earlier. It's fine as long as Larry, the president, lives here. The lawyer looked momentarily surprised, then burst out laughing. What are you talking about? Lisa is the president, not Larry. Realizing my sister had planned to move in with my husband without knowing this fact, I couldn't help but laugh. She turned to Larry in shock and exclaimed, Larry, you're not the president. I intervened on behalf of my husband, who looked troubled, and clarified to my sister, Larry holds the title of advisor without any executive authority. I, on the other hand, serve as both an executive director and president. When our father-in-law, the founder, retired, he appointed me to these roles. The other executives supported this decision without opposition. As for Larry, he receives an executive salary due to his father's arrangement, but it's more symbolic than practical since he doesn't perform executive duties. In fact, his salary is less than what a regular employee would earn, and I cover all our living expenses. He's indifferent to our household finances and was unaware that our home, though company-owned, was subject to rent set by my responsible father-in-law. I saw it as a standard rental agreement. While I considered this normal, the lawyer, still chuckling, asked me, can we continue renting this house to Larry?
Now you can watch the third part by clicking share and more.